Once again, Palantir's earnings was just crazy like they normally are. We had huge announcements from Alex about profitability. You had a lot of other things that were huge question marks that definitely call into question what they're doing and where they're heading in the future. And there was a whole lot else in between that we needed to discuss today. So I figured I would play the video for you guys that I released to my group right after that earnings call, basically breaking it all down. And that segues perfectly into exactly what you guys have been asking me for a long time now. And we kind of figured out how to do it and what to offer and how to offer the max value to you guys out there who have honestly either been members or looking to become members. So we are offering a special tier membership for just $9 a month, guys. That's less than 30 cents a day. And here's exactly what you get with that. You get full access to videos exactly like we're going to show today. And there's actually a library of several hundred of them that you can go through. And as you guys are going to see, they're not like YouTube videos. I love making videos in there because hey, I don't have to, make a thumbnail and a title and, all this other crap that comes along with making YouTube videos that honestly take me about 10 times the amount of time to make a YouTube video as it does a video for a group here. So you get at least 3 to 5 videos a week in the group there that you'll have full access to. And you'll also get your very own dedicated live Q&A with me where you can basically ask me anything. We basically turn on the cameras, you guys log right in there, and you're able to break down and ask me any question you want, and I sit there and answer them all as we go through them all. Sometimes the videos are 6 minutes, sometimes they're 26 minutes long. It just kind of depends upon the topic and such, and that's the beauty of it. I can basically shoot videos out to you guys fast on earnings, what the heck's going on with earnings, when there's a, hot news that comes out or something like that, or something crazy happens with Tesla stock, or just it's educational. Hey, been getting a lot of questions about valuation. Hey, let's break down this particular part of valuation and how to do it. You get access to all those videos and you'll get to see them in real time as they post. And there's going to be some other little extras, some giveaways and some other things like that for those members to help them out with their investing. So although I feel the full membership gives you the best value out of anything that's out there today, it's not even close how much value you get out of that. I also understand that it's not right for everyone, and so that's why we chose to make this option available to those folks who it's not right for, and this membership may be a little bit better fit. Special early bird pricing for you guys that want to jump on this deal now is available for a limited time, so hopefully I get to see you guys over there. All right, so for a taste of what you get, and for everybody else out there on YouTube, so you guys know my thoughts on the Palantir earnings call and everything that went with that, let's check it out. Well, what is going on, guys? And hopefully everybody's doing great out there. So I know everybody was all pumped up about Palantir's earnings, and I was finally able to go through the call, go through the slide deck and all that good stuff, and finally able to look at it. So let's go through it right here. We'll talk about the pros and the cons per se. I guess that may be the easiest way to break out this call because there was actually both that actually happened on this call. I know everybody's pumped up, but I'm just saying, I got to be honest with you guys, got to give you the goods and the bads with the call. So let's kind of go through the pros first. And I've been saying for over a year now, maybe even longer, that Alex can turn profitability anytime he wanted to on this stock, just based upon how they do their accounting and everything else. Basically, they've been sandbagging for years, have been saying that, and it's finally come true. When they wanted to flip that switch, they basically flipped the switch over to profitability, and it's just based upon how they did their accounting and all that good stuff. I don't want to get into an accounting lesson here, but there's all kinds of tips and tricks and things that you can do in order to make your balance sheet look better. And that's exactly what they did, or they weren't doing in the past. They were basically going through it and taking everything that they were doing on the balance sheet and not taking advantage of those counting rules that could have made the balance sheet and income statement and all the financials look better from all the different perspectives that you see on an earnings call. And they choose not to do that. Again, it's up to each company. Each company's different. They all do their accounting a little bit different. There's just, generally accepted accounting practices, GAAP, basically rules that they got to play by and such. But in general, there's a lot of flex in there in terms of how they show things, when they show it, and all that, when they take charges, all these other things like that they happen and that you can do with your financials that they chose to basically be really, really, really conservative. And to me, sandbag exactly what they're doing. Again, and to me, they were a more extreme example of sandbagging. So basically, he kind of chose to kind of move the numbers a little bit. Now, they didn't flip like the opposite way to where now they're just, aggressive on their accounting. They're not. He moved it just far enough to just make it, basically, move them from the red to the black. That's essentially what they did there. And it's awesome. Screw 2025. Here we are. It's 2023 first quarter and they're there. And Alex was up front. I mean, it's the very, very first thing he talked about was, hey, we were out there talking to governments, commercial folks, whoever, potential customers, and they were all saying, if it's so great, why aren't you profitable? Why aren't, if it's the most incredible product ever, you should be making more money than ever. And honestly, if they were to do some things with the balance sheet and income statement and all the financials, they could, but they choose not to. But the point was, it was a question he could no longer ignore and no longer continue to just kind of, yeah, we're great, just go with it, just enjoy it. I think he finally found that battle was getting harder and harder and harder to do. And when you didn't have a captive audience like the U.S. government who knew the value that they were getting and didn't care about what they were doing financially, as you kind of move outside of that world and especially into the commercial world where people want answers and, people speak the language of Wall Street much more than they speak the language of Palantir per se. You couldn't lean on that anymore. You got to lean on something else. And so it was time for them to finally kind of accept that. And we'll actually talk about that here in a little bit. They actually accepted a lot of things that they've been fighting the entire time they've been public, and probably when they were, a private company as well. But I know as a public company, they've basically been fighting Wall Street and fighting everybody else in regards to some traditional ways of doing things. And I think finally it just came to a head to where, hey, this is hurting us more than helping us. And more importantly, if you really believe in your mission, which it seems like Alex really believes in the mission, you're hurting the mission by fighting these battles that are honestly unnecessary. So it was good to see that actually turned around. And kind of one of the other things that kind of stuck out to me, it was minor in terms of the call, but it's something I see every single day. And that was, they gave the Tyson Foods example about how they were able to integrate all these different systems and spreadsheets that some employees were tracking and spreadsheets that other employees were tracking and all these different systems that don't talk and such. That is very, very common out there in business. There are a ton of businesses out there that, as over the past 20 years, where tech's kind of gone from, something, companies have, but it was very, very minor. Hey, we got spreadsheets, we're good, to all this automation, to some things in the cloud. We got some things stuck over here in this legacy system and this legacy system over here. They don't really talk, but it helps us do our business. And over the years, they've just kind of hodgepodge their IT together. And of course, trying to pull, data to correlate and actually sit down and figure out what is the best, do all the things that Palantir does. There's not really anything out there that can kind of pull them together. I know I deal with companies like this all the time, virtually every single day. They all have the same problem of, crap, man, I have all this data. It's just locked up in these different databases. And then we're just stuck, pulling spreadsheets and pulling a spreadsheet over here and trying to, create these. And I'm not a spreadsheet guy at all. I hate them. I understand they're necessary, but I hate them. But, let's cram all this stuff together here and kind of see where everything goes and kind of see where it takes us. And maybe we'll be able to find some usable data and some usable trends. And inevitably, more often than not, they're flawed. They're based upon a lot of things, or they're missing this component over here. They're missing this component over there. There's no way to get this out of this database at all. It's just a mess out there in regards to that sort of stuff. So to hear them kind of talk through briefly about the Tyson example, which is a very, very large company, and how they were able to kind of integrate a lot of those things together and such, I was kind of like, I deal with companies every single day that have that exact problem. And if they ever reach that point to where they're able to scale down to some smaller type companies, that's going to be huge, because every single one of those companies wants to understand their data. They just have no ability to do it. So you just basically ask, well, who's good at spreadsheets? All right, Steve, good luck. Give us the best you can. And they go at it. So not really the most reliable thing, especially from what I've seen whenever we're kind of looking at it, kind of an outside in focus on them. Generally, it's pretty poor, and they know that. So that's something, thinking in the future and such, like, wow, that is a problem that more businesses than not have that problem. And if they can reach that point to where they're able to scale down to a point where they're able to offer that solution to mid and small businesses, it's going to be huge and game changing in terms of how businesses operate and work. And more importantly, it could be huge for Palantir as well. So I really enjoyed seeing that. They didn't really talk about sales team at all, which I was kind of disappointed by. However, customer count did grow by 55%, which I think that's an indication that it is starting to pick up a little bit here. Again, we didn't get a lot of details. There wasn't a lot of details in the slide deck, but that's okay. It seems like they had more clients coming on than prior, obviously, by the 55% growth. And you can't really contribute that to anything else other than the sales team. Again, I wish we got more. Maybe we'll get more in another filing or such. We'll have to look there, but we didn't get a whole lot there in regards to that. They were asked about stock-based compensation. Again, it is declining, as they've said. And more importantly, they are profitable despite having the stock-based compensation. And I don't know why. I understand it was large at the beginning. But most companies pay certain employees with stock-based compensation. I understand they lean on it disproportionately at the beginning, but it's continuing to decline, and it's not unusual. And I think it's one of those things that's always going to hang over the folks who don't want to own it or who want to crap on it or whatever, that, hey, they still pay stock-based compensation all these years later, not realizing most companies pay stock-based compensation to certain employees. I would say, that's a good way to pay your sales folks and stuff like that. And some other folks that were, come on board with Palantir. So it's not an unusual thing. I would like that number obviously to still go down. Obviously, I would like for executives, again, virtually every executive, every large company gets paid. Part of their package is stock-based compensation. So it's kind of funny to hear that whenever it's like, regardless though, the point is it's a very common thing. It's a very common way of compensating. It's just one of those deals. I agree it needs to continue to trend down, but it's not something to where I think folks now, because it's ingrained in everybody's head, are expecting zero, and it's never going to get to zero. And guess what? It's not zero at most other places as well. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of one of those silly narratives. It's just no big deal at one company, and it's a massive, problem at this company. It is what it is. I understand the reason for it at the beginning when it was really, really high, but now we're at a point to where it's like, okay, I don't think that argument holds a lot of weight anymore, unless we see a significant spike up with no other, congruent or another, spike up in revenue as well, because basically it's going to produce something better and profitability as well on that other side. So otherwise, stock-based compensation for me, I won't say it should be put to bed. However, it's something I probably won't even track. I'll take a quick glance at it and move on, because it's a moot point at this time. And I guess maybe the best part about this call is that maybe Alex and the team finally get it. I mean, they're finally starting to play the game. That was probably, in my opinion, one of their best earnings calls. It was focused. They stuck to their scripts up front. It wasn't all over the place. They were very calm, very controlled. They actually answered questions. Not that they gave perfect answers. Alex still occasionally kind of got on a little bit of a rant there. But in general, it was very, very well done. And they're finally giving Wall Street what they want. They're finally, and I'm not saying what they want, but you can't be adversarial towards Wall Street and then expect them not to punish you and expect other things to happen. That this is part of being a public company. If you don't want that sort of scrutiny, stay private. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with being a massive private business. But the moment you go public, you have shareholders to answer to, and you are, I won't say beholden to those shareholders, but you do have an actual legal responsibility to those shareholders. And fighting with Wall Street seemed to be, I think Alex kind of took a lot of pride in poking them, just kind of like Elon does. But when it starts hurting the business, and that's what he was seeing was, hey, a lot of the things I've been doing to just poke Wall Street are hurting me when I go in and talk to governments and large commercial to do contracts with them, to have them come on board with or to have Palantir come on board with them. It's hurting. So it's good to see them finally acknowledge that and realize, hey, look, let's just put together a good call. Let's stay on track. Let's stick to the talking points for the most part. Let's stick to the highs and let's move on, because that's exactly what you're supposed to do as a CEO of a company. That is part of your job to do, is exactly how they operated that call today. So I really enjoyed that. I hope all the earnings calls are very much like this, very succinct, very high level, very much just, hey, let's stick to the positives. We'll acknowledge some things that weren't that great, and we'll kind of move on. And honestly, they did a great job of, hey, and we'll get to the cons here in just a second. But that's the point I kind of want to make, is that they were, they basically presented us with this huge, and this is a classic good CEO, a good run company does exactly what they just did. Hey, we cut our guidance. Hey, we're actually slowing, but we turned profitable 2 years early. See kind of the flip-flop there in terms of, now the narrative is this, because it's such a shock and it's such a big deal, and he was so definitive about it multiple times on the call, that all of a sudden it's a run. It's gone the other way now. And the fact that they lowered guidance in an environment where a lot of companies have lowered guidance, it gets lost. And that's a beautiful job of the executive team there, executing to exactly what they're supposed to do. Hey, we got this negative here. We got to lower our guidance. We just got to do it. Growth isn't going to be that great this year. And maybe they're sandbagging that. That's fine. But the point is, they still made the choice to do that. But you know what? We're going to give this nugget here 2 years early for not just to trick this earnings call, to trick Wall Street or anything like that, but also to just, help with those negotiations with government, with the other big commercial vendors. So it's multifaceted. It wasn't just to trick Wall Street. It was also to push, those other people who are maybe on the fence about Palantir because of their financials to kind of go ahead and jump on over to Palantir. So it was multifaceted there. And again, that's exactly what management is supposed to do. And that's what they have routinely failed at in the past. So their past failures were not the failures this time around. However, having said that, not everything was great about this call, so let's talk about the cons next. Now, I think it's clear the revenue growth won't hit that 30% that they talked about, and they guided down in regards to those numbers. So those are big deals there in regards to, hey, the growth is not there like it was or like they thought it was going to be in the future. He made some very opaque hints towards areas where they potentially could hit that mark and that could grow to create that scenario. However, he was smart and that he left it very, very opaque. Therefore, it's not an official statement from the CEO that's saying, hey, we will do blank. Kind of like Elon likes to do that, right? He likes to get ahead of himself, talk about something, and he says it definitively. And then when it doesn't happen, there's no real, he gets blasted. And of course, the stock gets blasted, as opposed to saying it kind of the way they did that, hey, we'll see some, there's some possibilities there. However, we're guiding to this. And if these sort of things work out, we might be able to do better than that. So again, the messaging was correct and it was a great job by them. However, I can't fluff the fact that they're not going to hit their growth rates that they think that they're going to hit or they thought they were going to hit. And the fact that they guided down as well. You can't fluff over those things. You got to put those out there as a negative. And if you notice, the wording was very, very specific with Alex in regards to the GAAP profitability. He said they will be GAAP profitable for the year, which means I'm expecting some quarters to not be GAAP profitable during this time frame. Overall, the overall, trend for the year and the overall year-over-year number is going to be positive. However, it means you're probably, because he was very, very specific, it wasn't like, hey, we're never going to not be GAAP profitable again. We are, GAAP profitable from here forward as far as I can see. It was, we're going to be profitable for the year. And he was very, very specific how he worded it multiple times throughout the call. And that to me, not a red flag, just something that signaled that, hey, they may have some quarters that are a little bit red. May have a big, green quarter versus a little bit of a red quarter there. And of course, you got to kind of keep that in mind because, the stock ran up big on just, 1 cent of profitability. What's it going to do whenever it has that red quarter there? So it's kind of something to keep in mind that it's not just, and two reasons. One, what's going to happen to the stock when that happens? And two, don't let it shake your faith in the stock that, because I'm sure YouTube and everybody else is going to blow up with, oh my gosh, they said they were going to be profitable. Now they're not profitable. Blah, 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 blah. I'm sure the media will do the exact same thing. Everything's going to, just, red alert, dump the stock, whatever the case is, that's coming when they don't hit it. However, he was very, very specific with that. And that's something that I noticed when he said it the first time and it kind of triggered in my mind, okay, pay attention. And then he said it like 6 different times after that. And he was very, very specific with how he worded it. So I was like, okay, right there, he's trying to tell you without telling you, this is kind of how the year is going to play out. We're going to be profitable overall. However, it doesn't mean it's going to be smooth all the way through the entire time frame based upon how he worded it. Now, I hope they are, and maybe they do. But again, he did a great job of not committing to that fully and kind of dropping the hint there as to how, the road there is not going to be as smooth as we would like it to be. Again, the growth numbers overall were okay. They weren't mind-blowing. There was nothing great there. The year-over-year numbers, if I could talk, looked far better than the quarter-over-quarter, which actually continued to show slowing and such. So, I won't call it a concern. However, it is something to absolutely point out that the growth numbers were not mind-blowing. There was nothing mind-blowing on that end. Again, the 20% move is probably more of an effect, or 15, whatever the heck it ends up being. Who knows where it's going to end up by the end of the trading day. But in regards to, what's driving that deal, it's the fact that they were GAAP profitable 2 years earlier than he said. That's huge. That's a big deal. I honestly have been saying it the whole time. I really thought it was something they could do from the start. He could have done it last year. He could have done it at any point in time he wants, just based upon how they did their accounting and all that good stuff. So, I'm surprised that they did it this early. However, I'm not surprised that it's not like the numbers were just all of a sudden through the roof, and that's what created this scenario, and he could no longer hold them back. It was just a simple, hey, all right, we're gonna do some accounting things here to get us there. In addition to everything kind of flowing well as well. So I'm not saying that there weren't positives to the call or positives of what all went on, but just it was a function of he could have turned it on at any point in time. He chose right now, and the impact was big because it was so early from where he had planned to choose, or when he had told everyone he was going to, flip that switch in 2025. So that's kind of what's driving the narrative there. We'll see how long it holds up. I don't know. I just know that it continues to be, what do you say? That 2.5 billion in cash, something like that, no debt. There's just not a lot of things. They're growing. The product is, super sticky from everything, every indicator. They're growing, they're catching their stride. It seems like the management team is finally getting it in regards to how to interact not only with customers, but with Wall Street and with a lot of other folks. And you could really see once we kind of get through this slow time, if whenever the next expansion time comes in the economy, the global economy, Palantir could really be one of those big runners. Hopefully quietly in the background. But it's definitely a stock. I mean, there was nothing in here that was bad. And to me, it shows that a lot of the negatives that I personally, not negatives, but things that I thought were holding Palantir back are starting to fall one by one. And that's great news for us as shareholders long term. So where it's going to go in the short term, I have no idea. You guys know I don't make predictions like that. But overall, it was a very, very good earnings call. Again, the gap profitability to me does not excite me as much as just it seems like the management team gets it now. They get it in regards to how to talk to their clients and not talk down to people. And they get it in regards to how to talk to Wall Street and to investors as well, and how to take care of us as shareholders, additionally with that. So again, those are my big takeaways. So hopefully this all made sense, was helpful. And, make sure you check out that link down there. If you want to take courses, get access to me 24/7, have access to our Discord and all our other 6 and 7 figure investors, more than 1,000 of them, and all that good stuff. Make sure you sign up for the full membership there. And if that's not right for you, or if it's just too expensive, I understand completely. Take that light membership there where you get several hundred videos that you can access, 3 to 5 videos every single week I will post in there for you guys. They're not regular videos. Those are absolutely, educational. They're about earnings calls. They're about everything and anything in between that kind of happens that day. Some of them are, 6 minutes long. Some of them are 25 minutes long. Just depends on the subject matter. No fluff, no YouTube BS or anything else, nothing like that. Just check it out. It's the pinned comment down below. And click right here if you want to see the 10 most important stocks in the stock market this year. And click here if you want to see what my exact plan is for the stock market this year. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.